All right, all right. Howdy, gang. It's Sunday, 6 o'clock. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. Good to be with you guys again. This is my last Sunday in Tank's spot. So that means Jason's 30 days of ham radio is almost finished. And Frank will be going back to his spot. Jason will be getting back to live streaming on Sunday nights. Hey, I've enjoyed this. This has been fun. Added a little extra to the workload for sure, but fun nonetheless. Sorry I missed you guys last week. For those of you who maybe were waiting and you didn't catch the late shift, I talked a little bit about the reason for my last minute ditching of the stream. One of our dogs here on the ranch, Lucy girl, trying to get this thing set at the right height. Lucy girl was not acting normal. She was in a lot of pain. Something was going on. We were afraid maybe she was dealing with some bloat, got her stomach twisted, something like that. So we ran to the emergency vet at this time last week. So believe me, it's so much better and cheaper to be here on a Sunday night. All right, we got some people popping in here. It's good to see folks. Good to see everyone come in early. Thanks to all you folks in green. Wayne, I see you out there. Kelly, EOD. Nice to have you guys out there. Paul, good to have you out there bouncing. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's good to see everybody out there. This is just a lot of fun. Let's see, what we're going to talk about tonight. Well, I guess before I let me tell you what we're going to talk about, and then I'll do some housekeeping, and then we'll jump into it. So, on the late shift on Friday night, actually on Saturday morning, it was at midnight, there was an SO-124 pass at 12:01 here at my QTH, 12:01 Texas time. And it was a high degree pass. I think it was a 75 degree pass. And before the live stream kicked off at 9 o'clock, I went outside, set up a Yagi antenna. I set up the arrow antenna, and I pointed it along the path where the satellite would traverse at midnight, 12:01, whatever, and set my alarm so I wouldn't forget about it. And we didn't forget about it. And we tracked that satellite using a Nooelec SDR, one of these little guys, right? These little guys that you plug in a USB SDR. We tracked it. We recorded the audio. And then we spent about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, trying to figure out, did we get a good recording? Did we capture any telemetry? And by goodness, we got some telemetry. But whenever you decode that telemetry, it comes to you in hex. So the nice thing is that there's actually some normal text that gives you a little bit of an idea that you actually got something and it was clean and clear. And so you got something, but then you got all this hex data. And it's like, okay, what is this? And at that point, at that point I was like charged up. I was like raring to go, but it was, 1 o'clock in the morning at that point, maybe 20 after 1, approaching 1:30. I had to get up early. I had to get up in 3 hours to go to a bike race that my local club was supporting. We were providing communication support. And so we had to kind of leave it there. We didn't have a chance to try to decode or try to figure out what was in that hex data. So all day yesterday, I'm at the bike race. I'm holding down one of the communication stations, and all I can think about is what's in that doggone hex decode. And I tell you, it's a great thing that we do that bike race. It's a great thing we provide communication support for that. I'm down in a hole where there is no cell signal, so there's no internet right there. I'm down there with a couple of other folks. The property owner also comes out, and he actually mans kind of the convenience portion, the convenience station where they hand out treats and water and Gatorade and all that stuff. And then I've got my own pop-up set up just down the way a little bit where I'm providing the communication support. And just the whole doggone time I'm sitting there, and I can't look anything up. I can't Google anything. I can't get any satisfaction at all. All I can do is sit there and brood over the fact that we got something. We were able to decode it, but I don't know what's in that message. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to see what is in that message, because you can be sure. I mean, I was wiped out yesterday, right? 3 hours of sleep out in the Texas sun all day long, from 7 o'clock in the morning until 2:30 at least, basically all day. I was wiped out. I came home and I went to bed early, but when I got up today, I was figuring out how to see what is behind that data that we decoded. So I want to share that with you guys tonight. So that's what we're going to do. Hopefully that's of interest to you guys, and hopefully you stick around to check it out. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Hey, it's good to see a lot more folks jump in here. I appreciate that. Hillbilly Ham, thanks for being out there. John, good to see you. Mike, it's so great to have you, N8YO. It's been a while since I've seen you, buddy. Good to have you out here. Vern! Hey, good to see you, Vern. Vern, it's been a long time since I've seen you in person. We're going to have to fix that. Unfortunately, I am not going to Belton next weekend, but we'll have to fix that regardless. Let's see, Andy, Pepe, nice to see you guys out there. Cooley, how you doing, man? Happy Sunday. All right, hope I didn't miss anyone. Joey, I see you out there, 45, welcome. All right, so, yeah, I'm still basking in the glory of my AMSAT blue. So that's why I'm all decked out in blue. I'm just tickled at being able to capture that telemetry, decode it, and then figure out what's in all that hex data that we decoded. So that's going to be some fun. All right. Am I going to Ardmore? I hadn't even thought about Ardmore at this point, Vern. I'm going to have to take a look at that. Let me grab my note card. Let's see. That's the 10th and 11th. I am guessing, since you brought it up, that means you and Renee are likely going. So if Renee's there, hey Renee, nice to have you out there in the stream. Hope you're out there. I've actually seen Renee more recently than I've seen Vern at Huntsville, but I got that down as a note. I'll check into that. Let's see. Oh yeah, Mike's been beyond busy, I'm sure, with 2 houses trying to get all that stuff wrapped up. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll check into that, Vern, and I'd love to be able to do that and catch up with you guys. All right, so let's see some housekeeping items. Like I said, this is my last Sunday. It's the last Sunday of September. Wow. Almost into October. So everyone's getting back into their regular slots next week. So you'll find Tank here. You'll find Jason in the following hour. And then you'll continue to find me on the late shift on Fridays at 9. Man, I'm having a lot of fun doing that. We've got a really good crew who are gluttons. We've been going for like 4+ hours every Friday night, and it's been a lot of fun. So as long as it's fun, we're going to keep doing it. Let's see. No. But that Oktoberfest would be certainly something you could maybe squeeze together, get both of those things in the same little trip. There's also MeshCon that I'll be missing. So I'm going to be missing just a ton of stuff next weekend. So keep an eye out on the Spec 5 website so you can see what they've got planned. Maybe we'll take a quick look at that. I've not looked in several days to see if they have any more information out there. I really enjoyed that last year. It really stinks we'll miss it this year, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So Friday night, we'll be doing more of the late shift. We'll miss everybody next week in Belton at MeshCon and in Fredericksburg. So we'll miss all those things. Let's see. Oh, Vern's getting his big camper back. That's awesome. Yeah, I know you were struggling there with dealing with camper stuff. Campers are almost like boats. I don't think they're quite as bad as boats, but man, I don't think they're far off. All right, let's see. What else do I want to touch base on real quick? Just a couple items here. Signed up on the community list. This is where I communicate with folks in between streams. I'll send out an occasional newsletter, maybe once a quarter. I send out a weekly reminder right before the late shift. And this is also, you got to be on this list if you want to win any of the giveaways on the channel. So I just passed 4,000 subscribers last week, which I was really excited about. And when we hit 5,000, and that'll be here before you know it, when we hit 5,000, I'll be giving away radios and antennas and Meshtastic goodies, all the things that you guys see regularly on the channel will be part of that giveaway. So if you want to be involved in that giveaway, get yourself signed up on the community list. Okay. The other thing I'll mention real quick is my link tree. This is where you can find out a lot more about the Digital Rancher channel. You can find some t-shirts out there. You can find some bumper stickers out there. I got a new bumper sticker out there, monitoring long fast. We've all seen the monitoring the 5.2 bumper stickers. So this is a little bit of a play on that. You guys are running Meshtastic in your vehicle. You got to slap one of these on there. It's a nice big bumper sticker, 7 inches by 3 3/4, almost 3. Audio isn't synced. Well, that's interesting. Let me see. Is that for everybody or maybe just Dave? Good to see you out there, Dave. Good to see you out there. But yeah, you guys will find everything out in that link tree. Here, I'll just show you what I'm talking about here real quick. Oh, let's see. Where do I have that hidden at right now? I've got it out there somewhere. I need to get this guy turned off here. All right, let's see here. This is where you'll find it. So if you go out there to bitsy/dr, you'll find the link tree. And there's also a place you can sign up for the community list out here. You can see some merch things. Here's that monitoring long fast bumper sticker I was telling you about. You also see some of my favorite things from a Amazon store. I also have a bunch of discount codes out here. So if you guys are looking for discounts on various things, take a look there. You might find something that works for you. All right. Audio's fine. Okay. Maybe it's a Dave thing. All right. Not in sync for Wayne either. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, hopefully it syncs up for you guys. It sounds like it appears to be okay on my monitoring of the stream. So I'm guessing that may be something on the YouTube's side. Frank, good to see you out there, buddy. You had to reload the audio or reload the app and then the audio is working. Okay, so there's a great suggestion out there for you guys. All right, so I'm going to share something else with you guys here. I'm hoping this audio works. Let's see here. Let me just to give you guys a little bit of idea. This is going to be a little funky here. This will be interesting. So just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what the heck I'm talking about, let me set the scene here for those that were not on the late shift. So this here is SDR++. This is an SDR application that you can use with these RTL SDRs, right? The Nooelec version, the other version, the regular RTL SDRs, works with those and many others as well. But this is a solution that runs on Windows, Linux, and Mac. So that's why I picked it, right? It'll work for everybody. And this is right about at a couple of minutes after midnight. But let me just go ahead and play it here. Hopefully this will play for you guys and you'll see what we were up to. Is that coming through for you guys? Are you guys getting that audio? See, maybe you're getting it now. All right. Sounds like you guys might not be getting it. You see that little squiggly line right there? That was telemetry. That's what we were searching for. That's what we were hunting. Let me see if I can get that so you guys can hear this. There's some more telemetry right there. Okay. So that's what we were doing. Sounds like you guys might not be getting the audio. But essentially what's going on here, well, that's handsome. What's going on here is I'm recording this file. If you look over here on the left-hand side, I've got the SDR++ set up to record. It's recording a WAV file. It's recording in a specific sample type. It's also recording at a specific sample rate, right? All of these things become important once we capture that information, right? Because once we, wait the 10 minutes, we capture this, we record that file, then we jumped into trying to decode that file, right? So let's just see what we've got here. And it took us a while to figure this out, right? We were using the documentation and we weren't finding our answers there. So we turned to Sensei Google and we started seeing what we could find there. And these are some of the switches for a program we're using called GR Satellites. Okay. So here we see that there's one switch we had not been using before. And so we're going to try running that switch here. Yeah, I've got that set for the desktop audio, Frank, but it's not taking it for some reason. I'll have to figure that out later. So I'll narrate here. So essentially, right, this is 45 minutes into trying all these various switches and things to try to figure out what's going on here. And then you can tell right there from my reaction, something good happened. Right? This was the first time we actually got some output from that file that we processed. And this is what I mean. It gives you a little bit of an explanation here, right? You got a little bit of explanation, and then you get a bunch of hex, right? And then we got another bit of telemetry here. Again, it grabbed a little bit of information, tell us, hey, something decoded here. But, you know, they only give you partial satisfaction when you're doing this. Kind of crazy. All right, let's see here. What am I missing? All right, we got Dave back up. Good. No, I'm not using OBS. I use something called vMix. All right, let's see. Yeah, you got it, Hillbilly. It's vMix. Let's see. Yeah, so I'll have to figure out the whole audio thing, but hopefully the narration gave you guys some sort of idea what was going on, right? So we captured an audio file using this SDR software. We could see we were getting something, right? You don't really know if you're capturing something decodable though, right? And we had actually done a little bit of this the week before whenever I introduced the topic. And so this was kind of like round 2. We had another topic we talked about for most of the night, but then when this pass came around, we said, let's give this another try. So then we get this audio file. We run it through this command line processor, right? And this processor is called GR Satellites. And if this is something you guys are interested in, go check out that live stream and the one the week before. I talk about all the different tools and processes in those 2 streams. I'm also compiling my cheat sheet, my notes from what it took to get from, hey, I want to try to do this. What's all the software I got to load? How do I get it installed? Some of it worked and I could just install it straight out of the Linux repositories. Some other things I had to build from source for various reasons, but I captured all that as I was doing it. I'm going to compile those into some notes and I'm going to put them out there on the interwebs so people can try to follow along and give this stuff a try, because it is pretty cool. But you're using this command line tool called GR Satellites. That's something you have to build from source. This will work on various platforms as well. But essentially, you run the little decoder. You tell it what satellite you're trying to decode. This is HADES-R or SO-124. Same thing. You tell it the format of the file. Right? We talked about that just a moment ago, right? We saw that in the SDR++. You give it the location of the recording. Okay. You can see when this actually took place, right? It grabs a timestamp and you add the sample rate. And this is the thing that was driving us nuts the whole time, right? It's like this little secret here that, isn't well documented in the GR Satellites documentation, but Google had it. And once we added that switch, bam, right? We got it. It started working. It was fantastic. All right, let's see. All right, so that's the setup. Okay. Let me bring over the Linux laptop here. And let me bring that up so you guys can see what's going on. All right, let me find that. Here it is. All right, so here's the live desktop. And again, I still have a lot of this stuff kind of sitting the way I had it sitting from Friday night at 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. But this was, and you know, there's nothing mystical about this, right? Here's the question I put in. What parameters are missing to decode HADES R using GR satellites? And bam, it spit out all these parameters. And that was the magic. Let me see here. I don't know. I probably still have that. Oh, I probably still have that here if I find it. Yeah, here we go. I don't need the hex dump. That was something else we played around with. But I can run that against that file. And again, this is the output that we get. Okay, and this is pretty exciting whenever you get this for the very first time. But again, exciting yet frustrating. So now I had to find yet another tool. So I went out Googling around and I came across this item. So this is put out by AMSAT Spain. They're the ones who launched the SO-124 satellite, and they create a decoder for the data that you can download once it's been let me see exactly how they state this here. Yeah, so they call it a decoder. So it's like, this is how you decode the hex after you've decoded the audio file. But let's see, is that the way that they characterize this? Let's see. So it accepts the file. Okay, so they call the other file a scrambled file. So you have to be working with descrambled and CRC checked data. Okay. Now, you know, like just about any other open source project, you have to kind of figure some of this stuff out on your own, right? You see here, there's not much in terms of instruction. They do provide an email address, but there's just not a lot of instruction here. Okay. This is the instruction. So we have to go in and we have to take a look at what is in this directory. And here we've got all types of stuff, right? We've got all the code, but it looks like we also have a couple of binaries here. Okay, so we have at least a Windows binary, and we can make an assumption that this is a Linux binary. Okay, so what I did then is I just pulled that down to my own machine. I cloned that repository to my own machine. Okay, and essentially, that's what I'm looking at here, right? I put it into a directory called HADES R, and I've got that same directory, that byte version. in here as well. Okay. The only thing I had to do is I had to come in here and I had to make this an executable file. Right. So once I made that executable, I said, okay, how does this thing work? Right. So if I go back here and look at their example, they basically say, you know, they do give you some samples. So that's the good news, right? And I don't know if you guys can see that real well. Let's blow that up. Right? They do give you some samples, which is good, right? Because this is, you know, down here, if we take a look, I guess you guys couldn't see what I was doing just a second ago. But here I've got my copy of that same directory right here after I cloned that project. And then here's the file that I made executable, right? The one that's showing up there in green. Okay. But this is the output. So what do you do with this thing, right? What do you do with this output? Do you save it into a file and, you know, does it know how to deal with it or process it from there? You know, I didn't know. So I just had to start trying some things. Let me make sure I haven't lost anybody here. Oh, let's see. John, good to see you out there. Yeah, I knew you would like this, Vern. This is right down your alley. Hey, Chris. It's okay. It's punny. It's fine. No problem. All right. So, you know, we got to figure out how we deal with this. Well, I think maybe the best way to handle this is to look at the samples. So you see they have an example out here. They've got a directory called samples. And they give you a bunch of samples, but let's see what is actually in one of these files. This probably gives us a pretty good hint at what our data needs to look like. Right? If we take a look at that, it looks like it's just got the hex data and the hex data alone. Here, let me just move this over here so you guys can see that. Okay, so it looks like we need to just copy this hex data into a text file. Okay, and that's what I did, right? So I just took the data. Now, the first time I tried it, if I go over here and I take a look at this first descrambled, I guess is what they call it. If I take a look at this first set of descrambled data, there's 2 lines, right? And so do you have to present them as 2 lines or do you present them as a single line? Well, I don't know, right? So the first time I put them as 2 discrete lines, just like this, without these indicators at the front. And it gave me an error. It gave me an error and told me, you know what, I should show you guys. Did I save that? I didn't. Well, here's, let's see, that ends at, oh, there's another trick here. I almost forgot this. There is another trick here. Well, you know what? Let me show you what I ran into. So what I did is I just took this data. Whoop. I copied it. Let me grab that. I'll come over here. I'll create a new file. Right, and I'm showing this so you guys can try this yourselves. Okay, let me grab this one. And hopefully I'll save you guys just a little bit of pain. Come over here and I added that one. And I'm going to save this as, let's see, we're going to call this decode test. Decode dash test. All right, that's what we'll call it. Now let me just find my command here. Again, I was doing this today. All right. So in this case, you're just running that file, that HADES Unified Decoder Linux x86. That's a mouthful. That we need to shorten that up, right? But then I give it the location of the file. And just for demonstration purposes here, so you can see what I was dealing with, we called that decode dash test. Didn't I call it decode dash test? I thought I did. I thought I did. Decode dash test. Let's see what I do wrong here. Decode dash test. That looks like it's right. Let me just look at it here. I'm missing something. It says no such file. Oh, I see the problem. I see the problem. I'm in the wrong directory to run that. Okay. So here's what I got. Satellite is unknown. So what the heck is that all about? Now, I don't know where it was. At some point today, I had read something, and I'm going to have to go back through my browser history because luckily it stuck with me, and there may be some other good nuggets in there. But I remember reading something about this data having to be in uppercase. So if we go and we look at what is spit out when you descramble it with GR satellites, right? All the characters that are not numbers are in lowercase. So I just copied those over directly. Okay. But if you run that same thing, and the only difference here is all of the non-numbered characters are uppercase in this example, you won't get that error. Now, isn't that nice? So if I run that on that first file, this file here, that's uppercase, bingo, you get to see what's hidden in all that hex. All right, so this was a power. This was a bit of telemetry related to the power system. And I just think that's pretty cool. Is there any practical use for this information? Not for me. I'm sure that the folks at the ground station that run this or look after this satellite care about this information. But for me, just the ability to be able to, it's almost like you're reading a secret code, right? You're capturing this data that's floating around in the ether, you're descrambling it, and then you're decoding it, and you get to see the secret message, right? So this is like the best decoder ring ever. you're decoding messages from space. Pretty cool stuff. And you wouldn't expect that. Now, what I don't know is, right, what bits of this information are included in this data, this stream of data, and what comes from something in this this little program. I'm assuming it's just the data elements, right, that's in this encoded package. But pretty doggone cool. All right, let me see what you guys think of this. Let me get back here. Let's see. So Vern, this is probably right down your alley here. Yeah, 16 pairs per line according to index margin. I'm glad you understand what you're saying. I don't. I'm not that familiar with this stuff. Did you use Andy's decoding software mentioned in that README? So, John, what I used is I used GR satellites to, quote, descramble it, right? So that took the audio file, and the audio file run against GR satellites is what gave me this output here, right? So this is the little GR satellites. I'm pointing it at this wave file that we captured whenever we were tracking the satellite. And that's what gave me this data. And then I took this data and I decoded it with this unified satellite telemetry decoder that was provided in that GitHub page. And I'll add some of this stuff to the description. So if you guys want to play with this, you can. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's this is almost a case of, this information, this data hiding in plain sight, right? You just need to know, the secret, right? You need to know the sequence of events. You need to have the tools, and then you just have to piece it all together. But piecing it all together is almost like a treasure hunt. There is not a concise guide, and I looked, right? I mean, I'm always looking for the easiest way to try to package this stuff up and share it with you guys, because, I'm sure some of you guys would like to try this as well, right? There's just something cool. It's like you put this big old fishing net out into the sky. You capture some data that's floating around in the sky, and then you massage it, run it through the process, and boom, something spits out that's real. It's just it's so cool. How many data elements are there? So I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, Vern, but let's take a look at this. So I captured here. Well, first, let me show you. So that's the first bit of telemetry that I captured, right? So if we go back here real quick and we take a look, right? Here's the first package of information, but there's another one down here as well, right? So I did the same thing with that. So I just copied that into a text file, right? And then I had to make sure all of my non-numeric characters were uppercase. And that's why I've got a -2 here, right? Because I tried it. The first time I tried it, it's like, oh, it didn't work. I forgot. I got to make all those things uppercase. So let's go down here and let's just change the file name to 2-2. And bam, we've got more telemetry. We got more information. We got more cool stuff here. Okay. And this look at this. We get to see the temperature of, these look like interfaces, right? These look like the same thing you would see on like an Arduino or like a Raspberry Pi, right? These interface IDs. And you can see the temperature of them. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, that's just fantastic. And that was a point in time that is, 12:01 midnight to 12:10, sometime in that window. We know exactly what the temperature is of these interfaces on that satellite. It's just so very cool. Let's see. Oh, your output from GR satellites mentioned. Yeah, so Andy's demodulating software, so there's another piece to this, right? And here you can see this is mentioned as well. There's another way you can do this, right? So what I'm doing is I am recording a file and then I am manipulating the file after the fact. You can pipe that audio stream directly into GR satellites and then pump that output directly into this decoder so that you can actually be seeing this data streaming in real time as you are receiving it, right? So that's kind of like, the next level, right? We started out basic. We're recording a file, we're capturing a file, we're recording it so we can figure out the process. So we know how all this stuff works. The next thing to do now is to start kind of piping all these things together so that you can see what you're receiving in real time. Let's see here. Let me get back to Vern's comment here. If you convert every 2 pair numbers that you can convert to decimal, I'll bet it corresponds with each line in that output. That's pretty interesting. I'm sure we could kind of work through that. That might be something to play around with if you want to, try to figure that out. The other thing is, all the source code's available for this decoder. So I'm sure we could look at that source code and maybe be able to figure some of this stuff out as well. Looks like one small int for the satellite AD. Yeah, Vern, you'd probably eat this up in no time flat. No time flat. Now here's the other thing that I think is really cool. Let me find it here. Let me find it and I'll bring you guys in. I'm looking around some of my scaffold here. Those are observations. Oh, it's not going to help for me to type on that keyboard. All right, here we go. Let me bring you guys in on this. All right, so this is SatNOGS DB. Now you guys have been following along on the late shift. You guys know that I kind of touch on this almost every time I'm talking about a satellite. But this tells us just tons of information about these satellites. Now, if I go over here to data, we can see all the types of telemetry that are available that this thing spews out. I mean, there's just tons of stuff here, right? We had one slice of telemetry based on a pass, within a 10-minute point in time. I'm guessing that it just spits these things out in sequential order, right? It just starts spitting them all out. Well, let's see here. Can we find the power? Well, here's the SPA. So here's some of this stuff. I'm looking for where I wonder if it's in this order. let me look back here and see. So we've got TPA, TPB. Let's see, do they talk about it in that manner? They do. TPA, TPP. So this was the second data that we decoded, was TPA through TCPU. So we grabbed all those elements. That would have been cool to grab uptime. These were all the elements we got in the second file, or the second grouping. And then the rest of these, let's see, we've got something that starts with SAT ID is the first one. I don't see SAT ID there. It might just be, oh no, it's probably starting with this SPI. Here it is. Yeah, now this would make sense, right? So it's SPI through, let's see what is last command noise. Let's see, there's iCPU, IPL, IBAT. Okay. Yeah, so we got all of this. That's pretty interesting, right? It does look like it's sequential here. So this is, we got from SPI clear through TCPU in the telemetry that we grabbed on that pass. So look at all the other information that's out there and available. Isn't that pretty cool? All really cool stuff. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I think all that stuff's written in C. So all the source code for this stuff's written in C. So let's see here. See if I missed anything. I know we're coming up. I tell you, an hour flies by like the wink of an eye here when you're used to doing a 4-hour stream. Let's see. We're almost done here. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Yeah, so I think, John, I think this stuff is continuously transmitted. I think what they do is they'll transmit, you know, all of this block of data, then they transmit the next block of data. I think it just keeps in rotation. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why something like SatNOGs is so important, right? If you are the maintainer of this satellite, if you're the ones that, you know, put 6-figure price tag down to put this satellite up into space, and you only get a 10-minute window to capture, you know, the status of this thing's health, you know, maybe twice a day, maybe. And, you know, HADES R is interesting because the voice transponder is on the very same frequency. So it's not difficult at all to have a voice transponder or voice data, right? The audio from voice probably interfere with that telemetry, right? So having a network, having a bunch of people around the globe that can capture this information and submit it to a database where it can be coalesced and merged together so you can get a full view of the satellite is huge. Just absolutely huge. And, you know, that's a great project that has hams, really, in many cases, right? This is just receiving data. You don't even need a license for this. Now, you know, I'm guessing most people are hams who do get involved with this because it does require some hardware, some knowledge, some understanding. But, what a cool thing that you can get involved with on your own. You guys can do this. You guys can contribute to that SatNOGS DB. You guys can contribute to that database. And so, one of the other activities that I'm doing, again, if, those that have followed along on the late shift, that we had some new satellites that were deployed here on the 19th of September. Nobody's captured any telemetry from those satellites yet. I don't believe they've actually turned them on. Now, another big step, we saw a few days back that all of these satellites got their permanent NORAD IDs, which is really the first step. We're now seeing regular telemetry in Celestrack. So I wouldn't be surprised if very soon we start seeing all of those transponders turned on. All right. Well, that's all I had for tonight, guys. We've got just a few minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. And, this is the kind of stuff we do on the late shift. So if this is interesting to you, make sure you stop over on Friday nights. We start at 9 o'clock. And, who knows how long we go. We've, went anywhere from 5 hours to 4 hours and some change. So people come and go. You don't have to, sit in that seat and watch the whole time. Some people go to work. They catch it in between when they can. We've had people doze off and come back. We've had people go to the bars and come back, and we're still going. So join when you can. It's a lot of fun. It's a great crew. And I hope to see more of you guys out there next Friday. One of the things we're working on this week that we started, and if you guys are interested, go back and watch the introduction to this, is something called Hamtastic. So this is merging together Meshtastic and HF radio, right? So that we can use HF radio to extend the range of our Meshtastic network. So, all right, folks. Hope you guys have a great week next week. I look forward to seeing you all on Friday. Make sure you get over to Frank's channel. Remember, not Jason, but Frank's channel. And he's having a cigar social tonight. And Frank, I'm not sure if I'll be there. I need to get some dinner. But I might pop in for just a little bit. So, Bill, you made it. Les, nah, you just need to keep plugging away at it. Just keep working at it. Hey, good, Cooley. I'm glad some folks are enjoying it. So, again, get over to Frank's. We'll give everybody a couple of minutes to grab a fresh beverage. And until next week, next Friday, 9 p.m., 7-3 gang. We'll see you then.